My lawyers have 100% discretion to cut any fee at any amount up to 100%. We cut over $1 million in fees a year.
Welcome to the Tip the Scales podcast, where we discuss running and growing your law firm. I'm your host, Maria Monroy, president and co-founder of LawRank. Today, I am joined by Sam Aguiar, not Aguilar, and we talked about how important the client experience is.
Yeah, we do some awesome stuff.
And then we talked about being kind and how that kind of translates to giving back to the community, karma.
Karma's legit.
Yeah, I agree with you. Being a good person.
Hiring good people.
Absolutely. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Sam Aguiar.
Sam Aguiar, that's me.
Yes. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me up here.
Of course. And you brought me gifts. I just want everyone to take note that's listening. I think I might just make it a requirement going forward that if you're going to be a guest, you have to come with gifts.
Yeah, I mean, what's the deal? Like, you've interviewed some pretty big people and not a single one showed up with a damn thing.
Actually, in LA, when I did interviews at Justice HQ, I did have Life Law showed up with a swag bag.
That's pretty cool.
That was cool. And my kids loved it because they love swag.
Was it good swag?
I actually think it was. Yeah. I had even a really good blanket in there.
Because you guys do good swag.
We do.
So I've done cheap swag in the past, and I've had to get on to my folks like, hey, listen, if you wouldn't wear it, then it's not good enough for our clients or people in the community. Like, you got to have good swag. Like, y'all's hats are famous.
1,000%. So I just learned something that I feel like, it sounds like I'm like the last person on earth that learned this, but your lead counsel on the Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. 2020 was a crazy year. 2021, 22, 23. I mean, but yeah, it was pretty rewarding, pretty crazy. It was awesome.
Now, what I really want to talk to you about, I've heard you have, someone told me this today, an amazing client experience.
I think we spoil the shit out of our clients.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I think this is like such a need in your space. Like, clients complain so much about lawyers, and the perception that a lot of people have about lawyers, I don't even think it's accurate anymore. So what do you do? What does that even mean?
Yeah. So like, I started in 2010, and, I'd been at a big advertising firm for a few years before that and went out on my own. And it's like, what's the equalizer here? I can't go out and on TV or anything like that. And I realized that some of those clients that came with me from that other firm, they started telling some other people. And I'm like, well, this is pretty cool, but why? Like, I'm nothing special. It was literally just doing them right. And little things, Maria, it's like, back then, it's crazy because we're a PIP state. So, and I was getting, run-of-the-mill cases. So, I'd get cases done for like $5-10 back then. And it'd be a little thing. Like, my fee starting out was only 30%. I wanted to be competitive. So, like, if they were getting, $3,000 and or what would it be, $3,500, and I was getting $1,500, like, I might just, if I found out how they had kids or something, I might just take like $1,200, and give them, give them an extra $300 and say, hey, listen, this is for you because I met your son. He's awesome. He's saying he likes Louisville, and take him to a game on me, stuff like that. But I think some people are some of us just love our clients, and some of them maybe just don't, And,
I think some people hate their clients.
Well, I've never really been much of like a lawyer that goes, even these things. It's like I walk in, I love being here, love the learning, but at the same time, I don't feel like I belong.
Why? Why do you feel that you don't belong?
Oh, because I just feel more comfortable in a setting. Like, if I'd rather go to a cookout with my clients than a cookout with lawyers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's really just natural. And a lot of my hires early on, very blue collar. Some have been to college, some of them hadn't been to college. Because when I'm bringing them in and interviewing them, I'm asking myself, are these people going to be able to really spoil the shit out of my clients? And are they going to enjoy doing it? Because I can hire anybody and train them how to set up claims or write a settlement demand letter or do things along those lines. What I can't do is hire anybody and treat them to be nice, be kind.
So you're saying it first starts off with hiring people that you believe are friendly and are going to care about the client? Because that is hard to teach, I think.
Absolutely. I think that as a bigger personal injury firm now, It's my job to have the systems, processes, tutoring, mentoring in place for just about anybody I bring in that's got the passion, the motivation to do the work, to get it done at a high level, especially if I've got, good lawyer mentorship and I've got some people who've been with me since day one. So to me, it's way more important to find the person that's going to get excited when a client comes in the door and says, hey, listen, I remember last time your favorite drink's Diet Coke. Go have a seat. I'm going to go ahead and bring that to you. I know that you're here for John. Anything else you need, we got some snacks over there. It's got to be genuine.
Okay, but let's back up. Like, is there do you have a specific hiring process, or are you asking specific questions, or is it just more of like, this person's friendly and you're just going more off gut? And this all sounds great, but how do you scale it? Right? Because you have a big presence, you have a big brand. So I think that's really easy when you're starting out. But as you grow, what are the processes that you've put in place for the client experience?
So, we don't have crazy growth. I had that initial rapid growth. And now, I think that we're number 3 in the Louisville market. So yeah, we got 45 people. We're a decent sized PI firm.
That's not a small firm.
No, it's not small. And part of the reason is because our spend is probably not number 3 in the market. We're probably number 5 in spend, but we're still 65% word of mouth.
Can you introduce me to the 4 that spend more than you?
No, because you guys do good stuff. I don't want you going crushing it for them. I want to stay in my number 3 spot. I'm happy with that.
I'm kidding.
You can't really just have. There was this author named John DeJulius, and I was introduced to him by our ad agency for starting, I think, in 2013 for traditional CJ advertising. Used to be now it's Chad's, but it used to be Arnie Malham's, and he introduced me to that author, and the books were amazing.
What were they called?
It's been a while, but it's client service. So basically for him, he would talk about how even at a beauty shop, that new customers got a white drape and current customers got black ones, because he wanted to make sure his people knew, hey, listen, current customer, do what you do. New customer, you really lay out the red carpet for them.
So what does that look like at your firm?
Secret Service is the name of that book. So at my firm, I'd love to tell you that I had all these case management platforms in place where we put things down and stuff like that. It's as simple as proactive phone calls versus reactive phone calls. If we call somebody and the call is just checking in on you, how you doing? It's going to be a pretty quick phone call, and they're going to get off the phone saying, that's pretty cool. My lawyer just called. If they call us, it's a reactive phone call. They're not calling us to say, hey, just checking in with you, want to see how you're doing. They're calling with
But
issues.
How are you making sure that people are calling their clients?
Oh, that's reportable. So,
okay.
So that's reportable.
Is it in your case management software?
Yep, it's in our case management software. We use Litify.
Okay.
So I've got a report built through Salesforce, and it's called treatment. It's called treatment compliance or case manager compliance, and it's going to give a tick, or it's going to show on a bar graph who hasn't been contacted, how many of their clients haven't been contacted within the last 2 weeks. And I don't go into freak out mode if I've got somebody who's got 55 in treatment and they're 52 for 55. I'm sure there's a good reason for those other 3. But if it gets over 20%, that's where I have to go and say, hey, listen, all good. I can round you up a team to make these calls, get caught up. And it's important.
How often are you looking at this report?
So if you pulled my dashboard right now, it's what I pull up first thing every day. It's right smack dab in the middle of it.
Okay. So it's something that you're looking at constantly.
I'm looking
every
at constantly, day. And it's not to micromanage. It's really just to see, especially following things like holidays or, things along those lines to make sure my teams are caught up.
I don't think it's micromanaging at all. Isn't EOS sets, if you were stranded on an island and you could only look at data to know if you had to get on a plane back to the office, what's the data that you would look at?
Right.
Right. And I think that what you're talking about, it should be one of the things that firms are looking at.
It is. It's part of my role. That Salesforce lets you put in up to 20 reports. That will never leave that dashboard.
Yeah.
So that, my rolling 90 intake, a few other things. But Maria, I think that where I got lucky and just realized, I was a psych major in college, didn't really know what the hell I was doing. So, fuck, why not do psych? You know what I mean? It was easy.
You're not allowed to cuss.
Oh,
We talked about this.
we
Sam.
did. Sorry.
Told you people don't like it. I get angry messages.
I thought it was you had to be the one that cussed first, and then that opened the door.
Well,
anyways.
Yes, keep going.
Primacy recency effect. You're familiar with that, right? Like we remember first things and the last things more than the middle things.
Huh.
Common sense. Like if I met you today, I'd remember that more than I would like the next year, but then I'd remember the last conversation that we had.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So think about it in terms of the client experience. Law firms can really fuck everything up by ruining their last interaction with the client. You might crush their case.
That makes a lot of sense.
Get them a ton of money and then direct deposit their check. Or have them show up at the office and have them sit in your waiting room for 30 minutes just for you to, somebody that they never even worked with on their case to come down and be like, oh, here you go. Here's the envelope. Sign here. Well, they're going to remember that. And that's going to linger with them. And it's going to really tarnish all the hard work you did to crush it for them. But now let me give you the flip side. You might have a mediocre, experience with a lawyer. Like maybe one of my teams just didn't call them enough. Or, maybe it was a situation where they didn't settle it for as much as they wanted to. Well, what if all of a sudden they show up, mediocre experience, they wanted $15,000 on their case after everything was paid and they're getting 12 or something like that. And what if all of a sudden they show up and you got some swag for their kids, you've cut your fee a little bit, surprised them, didn't know that was coming in, open up, tell them, hey, listen, we all wish we could have done better here. We're going to try to make it right for you today. They're going to forget about those 6 months that they just went through that were a little frustrating. And they're going to remember those last 15 minutes. And all of a sudden, like, I couldn't tell you how many times that, every law firm wants to tell you they're perfect. I think we're pretty damn good. But I can't tell you how many times, I've interacted with a client at the end of the case and uncovered something that maybe made them a little, frustrated at one point. I can make it right there. And I can't tell you how many times that within months, maybe even years, I get referred a monster case from that client.
So do you say to your team, because I feel like this is going to tie into culture, do you say to them, hey, taking care of the client comes first, and if need be, you can cut your fee by X amount?
Absolutely. Yes and yes. Everything. We huddle up like Mondays and Thursdays. I'm not actually the best at showing up to my own law office huddles and leading them. I get sidetracked in my office doing stuff. But whenever I get in there, it's service. My lawyers have 100% discretion to cut any fee at any amount up to 100%.
Wow.
Maria, we cut over $1 million in fees a year.
Wow.
Every year. Like if you go back and run the reports.
And do you have a rule that you will never take more than they?
Oh, not only is that a rule, I'd love to tell you it was a hard rule that not only will we never take more than them, that is a hard rule. But it's not going to come close. Like I'm not going to move the numbers to where it's $1 more to the client than it is to us. I mean, it's, if our client's going to walk with 20 grand and we're going to walk with 25 grand after the numbers are put together, that shit's getting adjusted big time. So, that's going to be like a 30 to the client, 15 to us kind of thing. It's just the right thing to do.
Do you run reports on that?
I do.
Okay.
And we had one slip through the cracks last year and I lost my shit. When I saw that closing breakdown and saw that we took more than the client, I fucking went insane.
Can you do anything about it after the fact?
Yeah, I called him up and had him come over there and wrote him a check right then.
Oh, wow. They must have been.
It was just, it's our promise. It's, it's not in our fee agreement, but it's plastered. Anybody asked me, of course that's a rule in our firm. So no, we had gotten 12 and they had gotten 10. There's a lot of medical bills and shit to pay back. And that client got called in right away and I had a $5,000 check for that client. Like that was, and it was 3 months post situation. So they got a hell of an apology. It's just, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I think karma's legit.
Oh my God, it's so legit.
So,
are you kidding me? I think of it even with the dumbest things, on an airplane, you know how you can like, if you're in business class, you have that little like side, like almost like a drawer you can put things
Yeah.
in. So I put like wrappers and stuff in it throughout the flight. And then when they come pick everything up, I take it out and I give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, or like putting the cart back at the store,
Absolutely.
or like just leaving things clean. Like even when I'm about to leave the hotel, I try to like throw everything away. I know that there is a housekeeper that's going to come, but I think that these things, I think it's the things that you do when no one's looking that like karma really hits.
100%. It's crazy. Like there'll be times throughout the year where intake might have a little dip or something, and it's like, guys, we're going to put a little more emphasis on just doing people right here. Is there a study that shows that gets us more cases? No. But what's always validating too is that we get some really awesome reviews from our clients. And some of the words that you see the most are genuine, authentic, care probably more than anything else. Not just a check, not just a paper, stuff like that. And it just feels good. So I think that I worry because we're not naive. Our cars are getting safer and safer. We wreck less and less now. It's eventually going to get to a point to where even those dumbasses that are sitting there driving and literally glued to their phone, their car is going to keep them from getting in a wreck. So I panic all the time. It's like 5, 10, 15 years from now, we got to have something that's going to still make our phone ring when there's not as many cases out there, and when AI is going to be at a point ASAP where people can get online and handle their own claims.
You think people will be able to do that?
I think that with some of this hedge fund VC money out there right now, that
there's an absurd amount.
It's crazy. So if I'm one of them, I'm coming up with a model that basically says, hey, we're going to charge a 10% fee. And basically the reason why we're going to be able to charge a 10% fee is because you're going to sign all these things. We're going to submit them. We're going to spit them through AI and we're going to send your settlement demand out, blah, blah, blah. And if it resolves pre-suit, like they could do that like this with hardly any labor. I think that's coming. So why are people still going to hire us if they can go to the 10% lawyer, And I think part of it comes from experience, like,
Well, and human interaction, no? Like, I have to believe that at some point, and who knows, because like you would think we would see this with social media where people are like, I don't want to like interact so much with social media because like I've learned the effects and stuff, but I feel like people, they know and they're still there and they're still addicted, and me included. But I wonder if at some point people are going to be like, no, I don't want to just do everything through AI. Like life is lonely, and like even like micro interactions that aren't necessarily meaningful. They've done studies that's like so good for our health.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to the convenience store and purchasing a bottled water, or whatever, right? So like I wonder if eventually that'll also play a role, but I guess like we'll be dead by the time like all of that has kind of happened.
How old are your kids?
Almost 12, 10, and almost 7.
Okay. So I had my first one really young. So he's 24.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was 2 days before high school graduation.
Oh my God, what was that like?
Crazy. But thankfully his mom's badass. Like she was in college, and so
you were in high school and she was in college?
I was in high school, she was in college.
Isn't that illegal?
No, it's like 17 to 20. Like we worked together at a restaurant. I've come from the service industry. I'll tell you, the service industry, that's something I look for in hiring people as well.
Oh, me too.
I mean, if you got service industry background, big time.
I was telling our director of sales, like, don't worry so much about the sales experience. Like, have they worked in the service industry?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can put up with that, you can put up with lawyers. Like
absolutely.
That's just how I personally feel about it. And I think it's funny because I've never worked in the service industry. My husband.
See, I would have guessed that you had.
No. Well, I worked in retail, which I think is like somewhat there. Okay. Not the same, but
how about your husband?
He did. He was like a waiter and like a busboy, like from a very young age.
15 to 24. Like I was always kind of jealous of some of my law school classmates. I started at Tulane, and they were some of them from Ivy League schools, some of them from Texas. It's where I learned that Texas is like kind of its own country. If you're either from Texas or not from Texas, and if you're not from Texas, then when you're around people from Texas, they kind of look at you a little differently.
I think that's how Miami is. I think Miami is like a different country.
I think so too. But I was always jealous because they had like this big abroad program where they could go and Supreme Court justices were teaching them in like the Greek Isles and stuff. I was back home waiting tables. It's just is what it is.
But it must be such a good experience. Like, I would love it if my kids did that at some point. They're such brats, though. I think they would like cry after like a shift.
The reason why I asked you though is because, my 11-year-old, so he's wedged right in between your two oldest. I'm terrified, of mental health because of social media is crazy.
But he's not on social media already, or
No, he's not. No, that's why I'm saying I'm terrified, because I see with my older son, like, there's kids his age. I don't remember at my age, like, suicide being a thing. And it's a big deal right now. So.
That's crazy. I'm worried for my daughter. They say it's worse for girls than boys. Mm-hmm. So I worry about that. And I think they're going to hate me because I'm really going to push for like, nope, sorry.
Well, good luck with that. But from a marketing standpoint.
You don't know me.
No.
Oh, they can throw whatever fit they'd like. Like, my husband's the one that is like very like chill. And I'm like, I don't care. They can burn the house down.
Well, that's a perfect balance.
It is.
I'm the one who freaks out. Like if, so I'm assuming I can empathize a little bit with your husband here because, if mine slips and falls and goes down to the ground, I'm going to be one that's freaking out, running over, being like, are you okay? My wife's going to look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? He just went down on his knee. He's going to be just fine. You know what I mean? Like it's part of growing up. So anyways, but I know that they're all over social media, everybody across the world right now, because Maria, in January, our intakes were dropping and I was in panic mode. And a simple social campaign got us right back above status quo. So I know that these people are on social.
Social is taking a cut. So when we talk about why is the cost per case becoming higher and higher, mm-hmm. I think obviously like inflation and blah, blah, blah. But it also has to do that the cases are spread out. Like before it was like just traditional, mm-hmm. right? And then it was like digital, and then it was like pay digital, and then like go open up multiple offices. And then it's like now it's social. So it's just spread across, and you have to saturate every single one of those, marketing avenues or whatever you mm-hmm. want to call it, right? So it becomes so expensive to saturate every single one independently, right?
I think people genuinely like nice people. I think it was you that was talking about Huberman and maybe kindness being the great equalizer for our kids. Like, I think you said that there was some study that Huberman referenced where the younger generation.
Yes.
Like, I'll listen to your shit.
Yes, yes. He did. He said that if you tell, I forgot about this. I'm so glad you reminded me. That if you tell kids that they're doing something, like whatever goal, it's because you're going to go to, you want to be a doctor. And it's not just about the money. Like you're going to like cure people and you're going to change people's lives, that they will study harder.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that cool?
That is really cool. And I'm glad you reminded me of that.
It gives us hope for that generation. I worry about their work ethic and things like that.
But see, I have another theory. This is not Huberman. I just think.
So is this the Maria theory?
This is the Maria theory.
Okay.
I think that you're going to attract a specific type of client. Like, given your energy and the way that you see the world, I think that that's going to be reflected. So like when you think, oh, I get like these great reviews, is because like they're energetically aligned with you.
I agree.
Right? So like a lot of people complain about lawyers in the legal space, right? A lot of vendors complain. And I'm like, yeah, I get that there's like big egos and I get that lawyers can be assholes. Like I get all that. But like we have some really fucking awesome clients. And even other people in the space have told me like, it's true, your clients are amazing. Like, how is it that you have such amazing clients? And my husband always jokes that it's because I handpick them.
But he's not joking. He's being right.
No, I do handpick them.
Of course you do.
I mean, as you grow, it's a little bit more difficult because now I think the sales rep's energy is like bringing on a certain type of client. And that's why Rudy and I get along so well, because we gravitate towards the same people, the same types of people.
Yeah,
right?
And I think in the PI world, there's, with our marketing, with our brand, there are certain people from, they're just not going to hire me. And,
Same.
And I've had it for years. It bothered me. And then I just relegated myself. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
Well, it doesn't bother me either. I used to think that it might have been because my last name was Aguiar, and I'm in Kentucky and maybe, some people.
But I don't get it. Aguiar is what?
Well, does it matter? It's Aguiar. You know what I mean? So, but it's Portuguese.
It's Portuguese. Because I know it's not Latin because it would be.
Nope, it's not Latin.
Aguilar.
Correct.
Would be Latin.
Aguiar. Most people want to put the L in there. So I think most people do think it's Latin.
I see.
But either way, I guess, I eventually had to understand that, like you said, there are certain types of people that our brand's going to resonate with.
Totally.
And I just need to stick with it as opposed to like trying to rebrand to resonate with other people.
But see, I would rather have 100 clients that I like than 500 clients that I fucking hate.
So I can't, in your world, you can do that. In my world, I can't necessarily do that.
Now, but it sounds like you have a great relationship with your clients.
We do. We do. Maria, like we're an advertising firm and 99.6, I think, was the last percentage. Like we get fired by 0.4% of our clients. Like I want to say it was every 400, we get fired by one.
And do you have any statistics on what that is typically? Like, do you have any insight? Never asked a firm this before.
Yeah. It's an uncomfortable conversation, I bet, for a lot of firms. I can tell you, at least anecdotally, when the first firm I worked for, advertising firm, they were out of Tampa, but they started putting like $3 million a year into the market in Kentucky. I think it was about 18%.
Wow.
Now, I think that was pretty damn high. So if I had to guess, and I'm just taking a wild guess, I would think out of your big advertising firms, and I know a lot of them call us, so I know that they're getting fired. We don't take clients that are already represented, but they're just going to go somewhere else. If I had to say guess, I would guess it's between 5 and 10% for an advertising.
I'm going to start asking. I actually want to know.
I kind of want to know too.
I know. So I think people are going to lie, but I'm still going to ask. Now, like sticking with this kindness subject, you guys are involved in charities, correct? Yep. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So we're a lot of grassroots. What I mean by that is basically, if you ask, we're going to say yes. If we find a family that needs help, we're going to say yes. In terms of like dedicated partnerships, U of L Louisville Athletics, they do some things, but we like to do things. Well, I like to do things. So it means the firm likes to do things that either involve kids or dogs.
Okay. Do you know Rick Albuquerque?
No, but I love listening to his podcast with you.
Oh, yes. We already talked about this.
Yep. It was awesome. So I would say like, the things that really hit close to home with what he said, like if you ask, we're just going to say yes. I've had some cases, high profile cases against law enforcement. It's funny because we represent like 40 cops like on their stuff, but I definitely don't have the relationship with the police that Rick Albuquerque has. We're going to be doing things with the Urban League, with Komen, Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Oh my gosh. I mean, I keep going and going. We have I think this year we're sponsoring 12 high school athletic teams. A lot of times that'll come about from like a client's kid. Hey, our client's daughter is, dancing for so-and-so this year. Cool. How much you need? It's, what I don't do a lot of are like the mega sponsorships. We'll get calls for like the shit that you have to do to be like the gold sponsor and stuff here. I'm the bronze guy. I'm not the gold guy because I'd rather spread it out and, I'd rather have a small impact on a lot of people than like be the $25,000 gold sponsor or whatever it is.
Got it. And this is all, again, it goes back to you're doing things that feel authentic and genuine to you.
Kind of like what Rick said. Yeah, it feels good. So it doesn't it feel damn good? Like I think most people.
I honestly am not involved in any charities.
Oh no, I mean just like making somebody.
I wish I was because like one of the things I was thinking about a friend of mine that lives in Miami was telling me how she went to this event, and she's an influencer. So it was like, forget what it was, but it had to do with like giving backpacks to kids. Because I know that that's really popular right now, right? But I really thought, damn, I wish she had told me, and I wish I had taken my kids.
Yes.
Like, I really want to find, now that we're like settling down in Miami, it sounds like for sure we are, like 99% sure. I want to get them involved because I at least need them to see the reality of other people. And like, I want them to learn that it feels good to give.
It does feel good to give. And I fell into the trap. I don't know if you fell into this trap. I'm assuming you didn't grow up. I'm assuming you're doing better now than when you grew up.
Oh, yes.
Same here.
We were immigrants. So both my husband and I were both immigrants. So like moved here and we were poor for a while.
So do you fall into the trap of like really wanting to give your kids, go over the top to give your kids things that we didn't have?
I think my husband does more, and I think than I do. And so like now my kids have chores and I won't pay for stuff. Like I'm just like, if you want it, you pay for it. Like you have money. Like I'm not. And I'm a little bit tougher on that regard because I think he lived poor longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it was like a 2-year time period. And then my stepdad was like buying a house and we were moving into a good neighborhood and I was going to a good public school. So like it was short lived, and all of my uncles were entrepreneurs. And they all did well in Mexico. Like they still to this day do really well. So like I always saw a lot of abundance, even when maybe we weren't living in abundance. And we were like living in like a 2-bedroom apartment and, 3 kids in a room. And like my stepdad and mom were like struggling financially. Like it never felt stressful. It almost just felt like it was just a moment in time because and I think that was like really good for me to see. So I just don't really feel like I have to give you everything I didn't have because I never really felt like I was lacking much. I don't know. Whereas I think my husband's more on that camp of like wanting to give them things.
So I'm guilty of that. Now, both my boys, thank God, like they don't abuse it or anything like that. But I feel though, like especially my younger son, that he's still a little naive, doesn't realize necessarily that we got it pretty damn good. We're really blessed.
Oh no, my kids don't realize it at all.
Yeah, so I don't think my younger son does. And my older son, I told him that I pay for all of college while he was there, but I had one requirement. 2, he had to have a 3.0, and he had to dedicate 1 hour every week. I said, while your friends are hungover on Saturday morning or whatever, 1 hour to either old people, sick people, veterans, or poor. And he never did it. And I let him get away with it. And I worry, like, I don't know why. I don't, what it is. So I think he sees that we do so much. And so I think he's like proud of it and everything. And he's a good person. But
I think that's what matters. I think that some people can be like, so many people are good people and they don't necessarily give back. Like, I feel like I'm a good person. I don't give back. Like I should, like I tip well and do things like that. But I do want to get involved in something with the kids specifically. But I also don't want to force it on them because I think you can be a kind person in like so many different ways. Like you can be a really good friend or like really supportive or like a really good parent or a really good boss or like.
But that makes you kind. Like that's good.
What I mean. Like I don't think it has to be like necessarily in one specific way.
No, and I think that's what it is at our office, Maria. I think like, so I'd love to, so I can't sit here and spit out like charitable partnerships. We just give to everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
and you're involved in the community.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm not on the board of a nonprofit and stuff like that. It's just,
like random things that come up.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that you show up and, tip over 20%, you're paying it, they're going to pay it forward and things like that. So, and I got to surround myself with people like that. Like if I ever saw one of my lawyers, out one night and found out that he like stiffed, didn't leave a tip or something.
It has to be really egregious for me to not leave a tip.
Oh,
I might do 15% at a spite if I really didn't like you. If it was like horrible, I won't leave a tip.
So
if it was like really like fucked up.
Yeah. So here's how fucked up I am in the head. Like, if it's really horrible, I'm going to convince myself that
they're having a horrible day.
Yeah, and I'll leave them a big ass tip. Like, it's like one of those things where
I can't do that. That's where I really am like really bitchy, because then I'm like, you ruined my experience.
Yeah.
Like
I won't go back. Trust me. Like in that situation, like right there, I won't ever think about going back to that place. But it's just I'm going to leave, at least clear my conscience and be like, they're probably having a shitty day. They're never going to see me again. But maybe this will help.
I haven't had bad service in a really long time.
Well,
at least out with my family. I feel like at conferences, we've had some like weird service.
How's your service overseas?
What do you mean? Like if
because they don't really work for tips. So no, like in Europe.
So we tip 20% in Europe. I know we're not supposed to.
How was the service though? Was it good? I've always wondered because like
how was the service last time we went? Yeah, it was fine. It was actually funny because when you said about remembering like Diet Coke is your drink, I thought about when we were traveling in Europe, every morning we'd come down for breakfast and like the waiter knew like, oh, you guys want this specific coffee. And like he already knew and would bring it. And like, we just thought that was like really awesome.
So I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what we strive for at the firm, because it's like, I think people remember that shit, you know, like if.
I think that like personalized service where I remember your name or I remember what you order, that is, and like that's another thing that my husband is like, does. Like if we go to a place repeatedly, he always tips way more than 20% because it's like we're regulars.
I think your husband and I would get along pretty well.
Oh, he's super chill.
Well,
he's like,
it sounds like he takes care of people too. I like that. I like it when you meet people who just.
He's really, I would argue he's kinder than I am in some ways, for sure.
Well, I think you sound like you're debating with that in your head. I think some of the things you've said, he's kinder than you in some ways.
No, he is kinder. I just think I'm more like, there are certain things that I'm more like, I get like riled up about. Like bad service when it has something to do with the food. Because like they can't control the food.
Can't control food.
They can't control the food. And like you have to like understand that. Like, first of all, I think that's like, you're an adult. Like you should know that they can't fucking control the food.
They have no control over it.
Like zero.
They can control whether or not your glass stays full.
I don't even necessarily even care. Like I don't even mind pouring myself more water. Like that doesn't bother me. It's like if they're just like rude or like standoffish or like they like never come back.
Yeah.
And you're like, I like want to leave. Like I want to get up and like I've had to like get up sometimes. I remember and like go get someone to like, hey.
So how about this for that whole recency effect thing? Awesome meal. You're ready to get the hell out of there. And they take like 20 minutes to come back and bring you the check. You're going to remember that and forget the fact that you had a good meal there.
I'm like really impatient. So 5 minutes in, I'd get up.
Yeah. So like.
I would just get up and I would go to the hostess and I would just grab someone and say, hey, I really need to get the check. I need to get out of here.
But you remember that you had to do that, right?
Yeah, that's more like an annoyance. I think for me, it's just when it's like really, like when the person's just rude.
Well, I'm going back to that whole, you could really kill an experience in your last,
Yes.
the last thing you do. So,
yeah.
I mean, in my law firm, like I am obsessive over that last time the client comes in.
So like, what do you give them?
So
because you brought up swag. So what kind of swag do you give them?
Well, so our swag's getting better. I'm jealous of y'all swag and people who.
I mean, we do two things.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I have a hard time. It's weird, Maria, because part of me wants to get them like badass Nike hats or something. But that's a lot of money, like
But when you really think about it, I really don't think that it is. So, and this is like, I will give credit to my husband again, because when I said I want to do hats, and this was like, we were just nowhere near where we are today. Like, that was like a really hard pill to swallow at that point in time. Because we've been doing Nike hats since we started marketing ourselves, which maybe like almost 6 years now. And he goes, okay, we're going to do Nike. If we're going to do hats, they have to be nice. We're going to do Nike hats.
Right.
So I go and like I Google it and I'm like, dude, they're like $25, $30. Like, we're not doing that. And he's like, if you want to do hats, they're going to be something nice. Like, we're a high-end agency. We have great customer service. We have a great product. We're going to have great swag. It's either on brand or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't do it, or just forget it then. And I was like, okay, no, fine, we'll do the
Yeah, he's exactly right when it comes to your product, but I can't do that. Like I've got 100, I've got 120 clients coming in each month, counting like the amount of family that they got.
But just one Nike hat. So
yeah, so do 120 times 25 for me.
Okay, 120 times 25, $3,000.
I mean,
times 12.
Yeah, it's 36 grand.
36 grand a year. You could do that. Okay,
I guess. Well, I guess
okay,
what I'd say is, so I've got a $2 million a year ad budget.
But hold on.
So if I'm spending, should I really spend 36? So anyways, I do T-shirts, and they're nice T-shirts, but they're not $25 T-shirts.
Okay, but hold on. If now a Nike hat, they're going to want to keep.
Oh, it's a walking advertisement.
And they are walking with your advertising. Okay, if all of my clients, potential clients, lived in one city, I mean, I would go bananas because my dream is to be walking around whatever city.
Dubai or Beijing or something and say, shit, there's our hat right there.
That's happened to people. It's never happened to me. I call it like out in the wild. I've never seen a LawRank hat out in the wild. People run into people, they send me pictures. It's never happened to me. I am like waiting for the day that happens to me. But in your case, not only it's a walking advertisement, but they're going to love that hat and they're going to keep it. And when their friend is in an accident, they're going to really have you top of mind because that hat is in the rotation of hats.
My boys like wrestling, WWE. So we got to go to WrestleMania in April. It was at the Eagles Stadium up in Philly. It's the first time I'd heard about Top Dog, and now I'm like obsessed with that dude and Top Dog Law and all the stuff they do. He's impressive.
I love James.
He's also in our market right now, and his ads are so damn catchy. So it's like
so catchy.
It's just good.
I wonder who he's referring everything to in your market.
Sure as hell isn't me, but
I'll text him.
But anyways, the dude's
for Javon, not for you.
Yeah, there you go. The dude's impressive though. But anyways, the reason why his billboard was right outside our hotel room up there. But Maria, I started feeling guilty when I left because we had really good fucking seats. Like I'm 4 rows from like the biggest wrestling thing, and I got these people coming by, and I'm like, man, life is pretty awesome. So WWE was bringing like their SmackDown event they do every Friday to Louisville. I was like, man, this is why I'm not good at the marketing stuff a lot of times. I woke up and I was like, I'm just going to do a giveaway today on Facebook and give away tickets. The plan was I was going to give away 10. But you had to like and comment, blah, blah, blah. I went through the whole comment feed and found anyone that had adorable kids or an adorable story. And I ended up giving away 115 fucking tickets. Not only that.
But you can't do hats?
Well, hold on. But where I'm getting at with the personal stuff is not only that, I was like, okay, well, I'm giving away these tickets. I found 2 families that like I really was like, man, this is going to be pretty cool. I surprised them and bought them 3rd row VIP tickets where you get to like take the chair home with you and everything. But out of those whole 115 people, I sent a message to each of them on Facebook. Who are your kids' favorite wrestlers? Got on Fanatics and ordered them shirts. So they got to show up at the office. And then I'm like, man, these people I'm giving them experience they might not be able to do on their own, but they're going to have to pay for parking. So I gave them $100 cash when they showed up too. So
you're making my swag look really bad.
Well, but I guess my point is I go in and it was probably supposed to be originally like a $1,000 outlay, and ended up costing a lot. But the experiences and like seeing it personalized and seeing the looks on their face was freaking awesome. So whenever I get a chance for clients, if I learn their story or something, if we can sneak out like before they come in and go grab shirts for their kids or something, I wish I could do it for all of them. But that's where I blow my extra swag money.
That's amazing.
It feels pretty good.
Why did you? We need to wrap up, but I just want to know why you felt guilty.
I've been to 2 Super Bowls with my boys. I've been to that. I like to pay for experiences. So, but then I'm just sitting there and it's like, man, I got to do this shit again. I got to do it again. And there's families out there that if you put them in the nosebleed section at the local college football game, it is going to be the highlight of their year. And so it's like, should I really have spent this money to do this for the boys, or should I have just put us in, the second level, which would have been just fine, and gave more money back?
But do you think the guilt has something to do with I think your upbringing, absolutely. I think anyone that grew up without money has a hard time with money, myself included. There are certain things I feel really guilty about, and my husband is similar in different ways, which is good because we can kind of balance each other out. And there's an article that he sent me the other day, and I'll send it to you, but it's about basically rich people that feel guilty when they spend money and that don't even spend money. And it has a lot to do with upbringing. But do you feel guilty because of that, or do you feel like you don't deserve it, you're not worthy of it?
I think it's more the second. So I have no problem spending money, especially last night, lawyers are up here for the conference. I spoiled the shit out of them last night. We ate really good. I mean, how blessed am I that I can wake up one day and in March, we hit a case, we had a 3-week span where we hit a case for $6 million, one for 6.8 and one for 4.1. It's I'm pretty damn blessed. That was pretty freaking awesome. And it's shit, we're good at what we do, but at the same time, there's people who are busting their ass all day and just to be able to put food on the table. One of the amazing things about what we do is, some of these families that do that, all of a sudden we get to really hook it up for them at the end. Now, granted, they went through a lot to get what they got, but that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on. This was fun.
Yeah. I just hope that you can find some stuff worth listening to.
Oh no, we're not posting this episode. It's not making the cut. I'm just fucking with you.
Well, shit. That was my biggest fear. I was going to be I'm going to come on this thing. I'm not even going to make the damn cut.
Thank you so much to Sam for everything he shared with us today. If you found this story valuable, please share it with someone you want to see succeed. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to help others discover the show.